Okay, so welcome, warm welcome to everybody. Very good to have you here again. So my name is Olivia Taggioff. I work for Anticip in the office of the SRSG, and this is the second open seminar we have on environmental peace building here in Cyprus. We had one in the autumn with UNEP, which more sort of looked at the theory of environmental peace building. So this is a chance to really delve a little bit deeper into an example. We're very happy to have EcoPeace with us. EcoPeace is a pioneering organization in the Middle East that is working in Jordan, Palestine, and Israel on shared water resources, something that is very, relevant for Cyprus as well. This particular session will talk about their program on water security, and in particular about building shared visions, which I think is very relevant here for all of us who work with intercommunal engagements of various kind. We know that it's important to find these topics that really engage people, and the environment is surely one of them. And that's also part of the reason why we at Anticip have started to look into that and explore how we can leverage the environment and environmental concerns for increased cooperation on this island. So the team then who will present is Julia Giordano, who's the Director of International Programs at EcoPeace, and she will then also in her team, she has Rana, Yuval, and Abdel. Julia, over to you. I'll let you introduce the team.
So first of all, thank you so much, Olivia. This is the second time that we participate in this initiative. We had another meeting in the past with the youth from Cyprus, and it was really interesting. We were very happy to have this conversation with the youth. Today, we're going to go into another subject, but before going there, I would like to introduce the rest of my colleagues. So starting with Rana Kaimari, she's program manager in Palestine, Yuval Berson, program manager in Israel, and Abed Rahman Sultan from Jordan. He's our regional program manager and program manager in Jordan. So just a few things. I suggest that since this is a Zoom meeting and not a webinar, if you can keep all the microphones off, of course, but also the speaker view so that you can see the one who is speaking at the moment instead of all the black squares. So I want to say a few things about this presentation. We're going to speak around 30 minutes so that we have plenty of time for discussions later on. And I'm going to share my screen so that I can give you a quick presentation. No, where is it? Here. Where it's not opening. Sorry, technicalities. Slideshow. From beginning here. Okay, so first of all, let's start with what EcoPeace Middle East is. Olivia gave a brief introduction. So we are a regional organization, which means we are made of 3 different offices, 3 co-directors based in Jordan, in Israel, and in Palestine, which is a very rare reality in this region, because there are no other regional organizations in this region of these 3 elements. We said offices in Amman, Ramallah, and Tel Aviv. So right now I'm speaking from Tel Aviv, and my colleagues are speaking from the other cities and the rest of the country. So we were established in 1994 with the aim basically to bring the environmental agenda on top of the priority of decision makers back then in the middle of the peace process. So the 90s are the years of the peace process in the region. It was signed, the peace agreement between Jordan and Israel, 1994. We have the Oslo agreements between Jordan and the Palestinians that created the Palestinian Authority. We also had in the 70s the agreement with Egypt. So there were a lot of enthusiasm about the peace process. and the possibility to cooperate and develop the region together. So the aim of EcoPeace Middle East initially was to monitor decision makers in the region to make sure that the environmental consideration were part of this peace process. Soon, with the collapse of the peace process, we also had to add another dimension, not just to monitor and make sure that decision makers in the region were taking into consideration the environment in their decision-making process, but also that all these efforts of bringing together environmentalists in the region would continue. The problem was not simply anymore making sure that they're not messing up with the environment, but also making sure that the conflict will not interrupt the communication. So we had to add another dimension to our work, which is peace building. So we are now an environmental peace building institution, organization. So we mainly focus on water resources, as Olivia mentioned. And this is because if you look at this map in front of us, which you can see in green, the borders, the political borders that divide Palestine from Israel, from Jordan, and then south is Egypt, north is Syria, Lebanon. So if you look at this map, you can see that the map underneath the political borders, which represents the water resources, so the aquifers, the rivers, the streams, that map doesn't really correspond with artificial political borders. So the environment doesn't know borders. And most of the water resources in this region, which are extremely scarce naturally, they are completely shared. So the main water body of the region, which is the Jordan River that crosses into the Sea of Galilee in the north and then ends into the Dead Sea, is shared between the three countries, Jordan, Palestine, and Israel. And it's in a terrible state of pollution and deterioration due to a mindset of conflict. So we work to make sure that the water resources in the region are taken care of in terms of quality and of the water, but also access to these water resources. An access that should be fair and fairly distributed between the three countries. So this is one of our missions. Now, we are going today to look at how we work. So the program on water security, which I manage, is born by the necessity to share our 26 years now of environmental peace building with other organizations that come from other water contested areas or other countries which are fragile in terms of, for example, vulnerability to climate change exposure, but also in terms of being prone to conflict. And there are many countries that are experiencing more and more conflict due also to climate change that is putting another challenge on top of scarce resources. So the program Water Security aims to equip civil society organizations from all over the world to develop environmental peace building tools. So we have developed our methodology, and here is more or less the way we work. Our work is based on combining two different approaches, a top-down approach with a bottom-up, and the two elements really need to be together to complement and strengthen each other. So from the bottom-up, we start with educating and raising awareness and reaching out to different target audiences. We work with youth from school, universities. We work with different kind of communities, religious communities, and we create opportunities for them to meet nationally, but also to meet cross-border. The aim of all these activities at the bottom up is to create support constituencies, champions that will become our messengers also in their own communities. So to make sure that our mission is being supported by the rest of the communities. And this has a strong effect on the top-down work that we do with decision makers in the region and abroad. one of the main factors in our top-down work is creating these shared visions. And this, we do it through a mechanism that we have called knowledge mediation, which is here. And we're going to talk about this exactly now. Knowledge mediations means that in order to achieve our main goal, which is achieving, political change, institutional change, like, for example, the creation of a shared body for the management of the Jordan River, or obtain a more fair distribution of water resources in the region, or to, I don't know, create opportunities of shared prosperity using natural resources and creating sustainable development. All this, we do it starting from facts, from science, hard science. The problem is that in conflict regions, also science is not always that easy. In the three countries, sometimes the scientific communities use different standards. So they measure water pollution in different ways. So if you look at the Israeli data, it says something, the Palestinian or the Jordanians are slightly different. So this is one issue. Another issue is also that cooperation sometimes between, that sometimes, when we study a phenomenon, I don't know, the pollution of the Jordan River, we need to have an agreement between the three parties that are involved. To do that, we need to agree on the science first, on the facts. This is why we work by engaging all the time with scientists, academics, researchers from the three countries. This makes sure that the report, the paper that we present, the project can be seen as the product of scientists that belong to your own community. So it's not a fact, it's not a report that has been presented by your enemy, but also your own scientists are in there. And we also have a process that which is extremely participatory. We'll go into the detail later with my colleagues' presentations, which involves, having the participation through workshops of different stakeholders to collect data, to make sure that the community is involved and develops a sense of ownership for the final product, which could be a study, could be a feasibility study, could be any kind. Finally, we use these papers, this product, to influence or to try to influence the decision makers through activities of advocacy. So we translate the science into something that politicians can understand, and we go there with and present it with the support of our communities. And finally, there is the final part, which is the international outreach, which is for financial support and political support. Here you can see more or less all the stakeholders we engage with at the different levels. And it's important to have, a very wide network of stakeholders to engage with. Today, we're going to talk mostly about the scientific community and how we can create this shared vision by creating this negotiating the knowledge, negotiating the science. Here again, you have a short description of our activities, but I went over before. And I just wanted to show you this. These are, for example, these are examples of our reports that all come from, possibilities of cooperation between the different stakeholders involved. So the Water and Energy Nexus, the Jordan Valley Master Plan, these are all documents that come from international consultants and teams of local scientists in the three countries. I think I want to leave it here. This is part also of our top-down work. We present the results of our work in all possible fora to gain political support. And this was from last year when our co-directors were invited to speak at the UN Security Council about climate change, their threats on the region, and the possibility to advance through cooperation and through moving forward with innovative ideas, we have created this idea of sharing, of creating a community of water and energy between the three countries, where Jordan would produce solar energy that would feed the production of water, desalinated water from the coastal areas of Palestine and Israel to be exchanged with Jordan in return. So I don't want to take too much time. These are all our projects, but we don't have time to go through it. So I want to give the floor now to my colleague Abed, who is a regional program manager, who is going to speak more into details about one of our specific projects. And I'll stop share here.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you for having me at this interesting workshop. I would like to speak a little bit as a continuation of what Julia just mentioned, to show you a concrete example how we worked on advancing the Jordan River. Yeah. So as an EcoPeace has 26 years of experience, as Julia mentioned, and with this experience, it allowed us to understand the different mentality, the different situation on the ground between the Jordanian, Palestinian, and Israeli conditions. So it's not a similar condition in every country. We have lots of specialities, lots of special conditions with the mentality and with the environment, practices, etc. And I would like to stress that this is a learning experience. Every day we learn a new thing and we apply it. So with the early stages, when we understood that there is a problem about the Jordan River, that was early in 1998, when we looked at the Dead Sea and we find out the Dead Sea is lowering down by 1 meter every year. And we understood that the water that used to come mainly from the Jordan River is not coming. And this is where we started to pay attention what happened to the Jordan River. And the process that we did, it's a robust process. It's a combination of so many different activities, all at the same time trying to engage science with advocacy, with public knowledge, increasing public knowledge, and so on and so forth. So there is no one process that is solely scientific per se at EcoPeace, but no, we try to engage science to change to affect the donors and the policymakers in order to do more science and so on. We started early 2005, where we launched a major conference on the peace island between Jordan, Israel, and Palestine. And Prince Hassan, where he was the crown prince, no, he wasn't the crown prince, he's the ex-crown prince of Jordan. He led that conference, and it was a starting point to get a political attention at that time, but also scientific attention. And with the first document that we did was Crossing the Jordan. It looked at what are the demise of the Jordan River and what could be done to improve the situation. Later on, we had to make sure that this initiative is taken by local decision makers, municipalities, and so on. So we did a number of MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding, between the different municipalities to encourage them to understand what wrong did happen to the Jordan River and what their moral obligation to take care of that river. It was so the MOU was very simple, straightforward, looking at cooperation, looking at the importance of the Jordan River. Later on, we coupled that with production of a neighbor path, a tour with publications, brought so many people from so many different backgrounds, scientists, decision makers, students, teachers, farmers, etc., to the different location of the neighbor path, where we showed them what went wrong in the picture in the top. We were able to show people that there is a river that was blocked in some other area, agriculture that is taking place, taking so much water, and so on and so forth. So we looked so much into what good and bad happened to the Jordan River. In 2010, we were very lucky to be able to be invited to the EU, and this is a golden opportunity that we immediately took advantage of it. We're able to present the status of the Jordan River and asking the EU to call or to pass a resolution. And indeed, there was a historic resolution that calls for the saving of the Jordan River. And this helped us so much later on because we also get a Senate note from the US. So there was a number of international recognition to our river. Again, going back to science, in 2010, we also did a study, and this study was the basic study that looked at water needed for the rehabilitation of the Jordan River. So we looked at what is the ecological water or water for nature that was needed. So we looked at the water qualities and water quantities needed for the Jordan River. And as Julia mentioned before, we had scientists from Palestine, from Jordan, and from Israel. And that was very important to bring the three nations together because we wanted to make sure that science is neutral and science is not biased and no one is abusing science for his own political gain or game. So everything was transparent. Later on, we did a study, a roadmap, in order to make sure that we all on the same page and we understand the work plan. We needed at that time because the water situation in the Middle East is quite complex, so we needed to go and utilize a computerized system. So we used the WEAP model in order to build a tool to understand how can we better manage water between the three countries for so many sectors. So that was a bit of a very technical study. Of course, we need to continuously update the model because the situation are changing by the minute. Climate change, immigrants to the country, especially here in Jordan, and changes in the utilization of the water in so many different localities and so on. Later, we were able to conduct another study. And this study, it looks at economics. And here you can see the gradual shift to understand what could be the main power behind moving forward or not moving forward. So the economics here showed what could be the different scenarios and what could be the different options that might be available at this stage. We wanted to understand what can we do in terms of when we say agriculture will contribute by 20% in the resolution of this, and domestic by a certain percentage, industry by a certain percentage, then what interventions are needed in agriculture, what are the economical costs of each intervention in Jordan and Palestine and Israel, what are the economical intervention of the domestic and industry and so on. And we call this the wedges because we wanted to combine the economical factors together to come up with a feasible solution. Later on, I'm sorry, I'm bombarding you with so much information, but this is so many years of experience. Later on, we were able to speak about how the Jordan River together how can we bring it together to rehabilitation. And this another document shows that we were able to build one study on top of each other study to be able to look for scenarios and options of rehabilitations. And this helped us to understand more and more the feasibility of our options. Tell you the truth, it's easy to say that we are calling for the saving of the Jordan River. And when we come to the complexity, the ecological, financial, economical, social, and so on, we will find many barriers. And it would be naive to come straightforward say that we are saving the Jordan River. We need to have a comprehensive understanding of what are the different options, the different angles, what we call integrated water resource management in general. And this is why we went into so many different studies and different consultation to be able to have a comprehensive understanding of what is going on. Later on, we produced another document that compiled almost all documents from the previous time. to make sure that it's easy read and also accessible information for the decision makers. It helped us so much, this document. As Julia mentioned in her previous presentation, we also looked at how can we look at the river from a religious perspective. That's why we produced 3 main documents looking at the Jordan River from Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. And we produced a covenant that was signed by thousands of people all around the world, people who have faith, but also people who do not have faith, but they believe in the ecosystem, they believe in the good for nature. So we tried to compile so many different angles. 2015 was really a milestone for us because we produced our master plan. Our master plan, this is a major shift at EcoPeace because we no longer speaking about saving the Jordan River, but we are speaking about sustainable development or sustainable activities at the basin of the Jordan Valley Basin. What needs to be done in agriculture, what needs to be done in tourism, pollution control, urban development, ecological rehabilitation, and so on and so forth. Therefore, we defined 7 thematic groups and we identified 120 different projects, 127 projects with a total of $4.5 billion worth of investment in order to create this sustainability. If we invest this $4.5 billion in the Jordan Valley from 2015 until 2050, we will be able to increase the economical development from 4 billion GDP at the moment into 70 plus GDP in 2050. So there is an economical incentive, and there is a sustainable development objective. Here we can see that the goal and objective of EcoPeace change a lot to make sure that we are not only speaking about nature as ecosystem, as habitat, but we're also speaking about sustainable development at large. This was ratified in Jordan by the Jordanian government and Jordanian cabinet, and it's compiled with the Israeli master plan for the Israeli side. Unfortunately, at the moment, still not approved at the Palestinian side, but we're working on getting this approval on the Palestinian side. So this being accepted in the Jordanian side, officially accepted on the Jordanian side, it proved that the process that we started early 2000 has a very successful, concrete milestone. This is not the end of the story. This is just the beginning, where we needed to move forward and continue to do our science, continue to do our advocacy, continue to do our outreach and exposure. Therefore, we're constantly active with youth at different levels, mayors, and different stakeholders to make sure that this message does not stop at this stage. Today, we have created new departments at EcoPeace, where we have an investment department looking at sustainable development projects and businesses that needs to come to the Middle East, trying to support this process. So this process that I just explained in few slides, it's so many years, so many experts, so many millions of dollars of studies. I think it's worth looking into it in more depth. Most of those documents are available on our website, so please go and visit them, ecopeacemiddleeast.org. And I'm ready for any question, and thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Abed. And now I would give the floor to Rana Kamai. Rana, maybe give like a sort of excursus overview of our work with the academia, universities, schools.
Okay, thank you, Julia. Hi, everyone, and really it's my pleasure to be part of such a great session and presenting our EcoPeace activities and projects, which is really we are proud of. You know that as Julia, my colleague, mentioned, that we are a regional environmental peacebuilding organization, and we are always looking for we are always looking for protecting our water, our future for us and for our next generation. So to do that, and that's why we are a unique organization, because we believe that it is very important that all stakeholders to be included in our activities and in our programs, from government, international organization, private sector, youth, civil society, and also academia and science, to make sure that all sectors of our society are understand what we are doing and moving toward regional cooperation in the right way. So my colleague Abed highlighted some of our activities. I will briefly talk about part of our activities, and I will focus on how we cooperate with academia from other side. So our projects are so many projects, and if we are going to start presenting it, we will need hours. But I will summarize it, and it's part of it. Of course, we have so many sustainable development in the Jordan Valley because we are focusing on Jordan Valley, including research, awareness activities, investment, advocacy on different levels of environmental issues. We have the water energy nexus that already Abed mentioned about, which is we are doing a lot of research on water and sustainable energy nexus approach to find solutions for our region, and mainly when we are talking about the effects of climate change. Also, we are focusing on training and capacity building for all sectors of our societies, farmers, teachers, young, whenever we find that there is a need to do training and capacity building, to open mind the people around us on our cooperation need and how we can proceed with cooperation to solve our environmental problems, we do it directly. And of course, we have the advocacy on regional and national environmental issues. And finally, which I really want to talk more about this project, which is Good Water NEPA project that started in 2001 and still running, and we hope that it will continue for years. That program and that project is funded by the Swedish International Development Agency, SIDA, and mainly aims to raise the awareness about shared water problems and create political will to improve the water realities in the region. It started in 2001, and it was mainly focused on 11 Israeli, Palestinian, and Jordanian communities who were selected living in Jordan Valley around Jordan River, facing the same problems, shortage of water, pollution, and other situations where all communities living there are facing the same things. We did a lot of awareness activities to open their mind that we are together on the same boat. And because of the success of the phase 1, we moved to phase 2. And actually each phase is around 4 years. We added more communities to the project to become 17. And later on followed by phase 3, which have around 28 communities living in Jordan Valley and around, and all of them were part of our awareness campaign and were part of looking for solutions for our region. And you can see that how communities around Jordan River are scattered and who were part of our program. And we are now running the phase 4 of our Good Water NEPA, but we think that we have to update it to do something like more focus. So this phase, which is phase 4, we are targeting 2 main tracks. First, we target education component because we believe that we can prepare and create agents for change for our regional cooperation. So through education track, we target school students, teachers, and other relevant stakeholders. And also we target, of course, school students. We are talking about teenagers like 16, 17, and 18 years old. We focus on training them on our water reality, problem of water, wastewater, and other issues, and also to find solutions for these problems, because we need to be together and cooperate for solving these problems. On the other side, we also focus on young professionals. We are talking about youngs who are around 21 and 35, and we approach them from two different tracks. First of all, we have the water diplomacy program, where we have young from different backgrounds who are willing to learn more about water diplomacy and gaining skills in different ways. And also we are targeting green social entrepreneur young who have field background in field of water and other environmental issues, and they need to have more idea about our realities. And also, which is new, it was embedded in our other programs, but now we are focusing on it directly, which is investment, where we're promoting a private sector to invest in Jordan Valley, but also we have careful that this investment should be green investment to protect this area. So where is the academia and the science from all of this? Abed mentioned that, and Julia, that we are doing a lot of research and data collection and analysis with the academia, but also we need them in our programs where we can't implement most of our projects unless we have the experts with know-how, skills, experience to advise us, to consult with, to properly implement our projects in a way that we can give the right information, the right knowledge, and also to build the skills in this aspect. And we thought that why not to involve them in solving our problems? So we are now trying to approach undergraduate and graduate students to be and contribute effectively in solving our regional environmental problems. When they have good understanding through our training and through our programs of the reality of our region, they can smartly well define their research questions. They will understand that we need to do our research and our thesis to solve part of our, at least to solve part of our problems. So through our young professional and with cooperation of higher education institutions and universities, we encourage our young researchers who are part of our young professional to work on building their thesis research to support creative solutions for existing regional environmental problems and be part of our community. And we have a very good example of how we involve and cooperate with academia in one of our best projects. And we can say that we involve academia with all levels, from undergraduate like professors, when we create our EcoPeace virtual peace park. And I will leave the floor for my colleague Yuval, who can explain more about this fantastic project and how we use it to cope with COVID-19, and we will proceed with our activities. Yuval, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Anna. So I will just continue directly from this point. Let me start by saying that my name is Yuval. I'm the program manager at EcoPeace Tel Aviv. Very happy to be here and to talk to you. And I will showcase one example of a cooperation with universities, which is a significant enabling factor, as Rana said, to improve the quality and to get a lot of cooperation in conflict countries, because the academia is expected to be objective and usually have contacts on both sides, and that is very contributing, especially international. So I will share my screen with your permission. There we go. Okay, so let me just start with a little bit of a background. So as Abed, I think, mentioned, in 2008, we started working on the Peace Park, which is a region in the Jordan Valley that has a lot of history and a lot of significance to the region. And there was a vision to have an area, a park, which will be open to Jordanian, Palestinian, Israelis without passports, will be a place to show the environment, to improve the situation of the Jordan River, have a wetland, and really be an amazing touristic site that will represent open borders and peace. And we then asked a group of architects from various places, and we will see them soon, to design this for us as a way to come and say to the governments and to the mayors and to the other people in the region, here is our plan, it can be done. And we did not succeed. We did not succeed. The area, rather than opening up, is actually closed down even more. And today it is really restricted. And in 2020, actually, past 6 months, we had an idea. And the idea was maybe we can take and build, using virtual reality, build a new way to meet. It will be a private world where we can bring our participants from Palestine, Israel, and Jordan, where they can walk around, they can talk, they can learn, and we'll meet as avatars in a virtual reality gaming atmosphere, and actually implement the Peace Park in a way that we could actually cross the impassable borders and walk over the border lines and the areas of minefields, etc. And it could be much easier and better than Zoom, and also a lot of fun. And so we recontacted our beautiful group of architects that worked with us in 2012. We called the University of Yale Urban Design Workshop and the Bezalel Academy of Arts and Design in Jerusalem. And we also contacted Palestinian and Jordanian architects that worked with us together, including EcoPeace staff. And we worked together to design the virtual reality alternative of what was designed in 2008. And you can see here, for example, this is a map of the actual region. And as it is mapped by Yale and Bezalel, as they actually set the architects for many hours, mostly pro bono, by the way, and designed every element, landscaping and designing every part of a virtual reality site so that it could be or enable people to take the perspective of the actual site. And this was the key point for us, that the world will be a representation of the real site. So if you look at the picture below, you can see this is a drone picture of the region. And you can see the historical bridges and the Khan. And I also drew the border where it is impossible to cross today because there's no crossing point in this place on the Jordan River. And if you look at the larger picture, this is a picture from our world, and you can see that the resemblance is amazing because the architects took pain in implementing every element of the site. And why is it so important? Because we thought, as we learned and built the experience, using, again, professionals from digital communication and from the world of virtual reality, we realized that this world is an equalizer. Everybody is the same. And it doesn't matter if you come from a more established economy or from a refugee camp. It doesn't matter because here you're an avatar. We took great pains to have modest clothing and relevant attention to culture. But we let people, as you can see on the right picture here, we allow people to choose and select the way they look, and then they participate as avatars, which is a lot of fun. But it's more than fun. The idea is to have icebreaker games and abilities to actually create connection between the people so that they feel comfortable. And once they feel comfortable, we move on to education. So as I said, this site was designed not as just any gaming site, but with a very, very careful attention to details. As you can see with the Jisr al-Majami, the bridge of meeting, which is a crossing of the Jordan River, which is almost 1,000 years old, or more than 1,000 years old. And you can see the level of accuracy that was done here. But our world has no borders, has no wires and minefields. Everything is open. And still, of course, we are aware, and we keep in the mind of our participants that they are crossing the border, that they are moving now to the Jordanian side. Why is it so important? Because in this way, they feel the option, the possibility of removing the barriers between the two groups. And again, one of our key focus points, of course, is environment and biodiversity, because this is what EcoPeace is about. It's about cross-boundary environmental issues. So the sites are built as educational sites where people can interact, learn, and actually take the perspective of each other's living reality. Last but not least, we use the site also for lectures, for meetings, and you can see that people can actually have a meeting here. They can see each other, which is very important, also in the physical level, and really build a connection while they tour the site. And the same, as you can see, this is the Jordanian side, and we built here a tent, a Bedouin tent, where people can do storytelling and informal meetings around the campfire. Again, maybe it's an idealistic world, but it's a great way to send a message. And these are more examples, as you can see, of animals, movies that are shown, etc. in the site. But I think that with that, I will stop for now.
Thanks, Yuval. Thanks, Abed and Lana. I think we want to stop it here. So we gave so much information, but maybe it's time to hear if there are any questions. We would be very happy to answer. And maybe if when you ask a question, if you can turn also your video on so we can see you, that would be great.
Hi, thank you so very much. That was a really, really interesting presentation of very, very rich work that you do. So many different parts of it. I mean, I really, there are a lot of people here who I think have a lot of interesting input. And I saw a little while back that we had Sally Goodshell with us, who is the Turkish Cypriot, who's just been nominated the Turkish Cypriot co-chair of the Bicommunal Technical Committee here on. Hi, there I see you. Hi, Sally. Maybe you have some reflections on this. I think this is very inspiring. Is this something, what can you draw from this? Something that is...
Yes, I watched the presentations very carefully. They were very interesting. I mean, whether there is a conflict or not. I mean, the nature shouldn't be shouldn't have problems, shouldn't have obstacles from this problem. So I mean, I like what they I like the project, and that when we were doing biodiversity in the buffer zone project. I mean, there we had some ideas about peace parks. So congratulations, they were very interesting. I hope, let's see what will happen. I'm curious to have the first meeting with the Bicommunal Technical Committee on Environment.
Well, good luck for sure for this new
Thank you.
journey. I hope it works.
Great. Somebody else maybe want to reflect a little bit on the peace part, because we have, I know here in Cyprus, there is, there's for a long time been talk of making a park along the Pedeos River that runs across the buffer zone that divides this island, and to basically connect the two sides with the park, as you have a little bit like you have described here, where you don't need a passport to enter, so you can just, both communities can access this park, but it's not yet been realized. So anybody here who would like to talk a little bit to that? And I mean, it's a wonderful idea with the virtual park, of course, but the real thing would also be great. Nicholas, I see you there. Do you want to? I think you know something about the status of that. Maybe you have some other reflections you want to share. Nick, are you there?
Olivia, until Nick joins, that was the first thing that comes to my mind, completing the part in the north, and find a solution for the buffer zone. Most probably Nick knows better than me, but like I know that 95% of the buffer zone is the property of Greek Cypriots. So there would be a property issue. Hope that we can find a solution for them, because it's like home for cooperation. It's a good, it's an interesting place for people from both sides to meet, sit down, talk, eat, share their ideas. And it with the current situation with COVID now, I mean, we have to be more careful. But if we have an open space, then it would be easier for people to meet again.
Yeah, for sure.
If I can comment on that very briefly, having a place where people are interested in visiting, that's also a very important element, because the Jordan River, for example, in big part, the lower Jordan River is hidden to the sight of people, because it's a military area, so people don't even see it. The state of deterioration of the river itself, don't see the effect that the conflict has caused to the river. So rehabilitating places or creating virtual places like we are doing give the possibility for people to rediscover their own territory and act in their own self-interest. So our communities, when they work together to rehabilitate a river or to push for some specific results, they don't do it out of love or need to cooperate for the sake of cooperation with the other side. They do it with a self-interest mind. I'm doing it because my community has been deprived for 7 years of this river. I'm doing it because my community doesn't have access to the water, and the only way to make sure that water or any other environmental issues or any other issues that need cooperation can be solved. The other way is also true. Once you start talking about things that sound simple, like environmental issues between parties that are usually in conflict and they don't recognize each other, or they're they have hostile feelings towards each other. Once you start with something less political, less controversial, like the environment, it opens the path for building trust between these communities, knowing that there is a partner on the other side that can understand, and you can start creating the base for building a real dialogue for also other dimensions. So, and this is, we had a similar project in Bosnia-Herzegovina with very, very, very different reality. They have plenty of water, it's highly polluted. And this river, it's like runs across the two entities, the Bosnian and the Serbian. And it worked there as well for many years, this project. So that means environmental peace building could really bring about important changes in both in the two agendas, the environmental agenda and the peace building one. I think someone wrote something on the chat. Should I read it? It's from Katerina. You mentioned that you have communication between religious figures for your projects. How does that help hinder your work? We work with the religious leaders of Cyprus and have to face, no, this is for me only. I thought it was public, so I'm sorry if I'm reading it. But I will stop here. Who wants to take these questions, maybe among my colleagues? How do we can say something on how do we work with religious leaders?
I can say.
Yeah.
Oh, Yuval, go ahead.
I can say that last year, for example, before COVID, we had a large event of interfaith where we had religious people from the region and from the world do a 3-day tour, starting from Jordan, going over the key religious sites of the Jordan, and then crossing the Jordan and going through Palestinian sites and then into Israel. Again, the significance is the fact that the sites, the river itself, the Jordan River, is a holy site to Christianity, Muslim, and Judaism. And many times religious leaders have cooperated with us when we came in with a message that says, this river is holy to all of us, and look at the state of it. So put aside the political disputes and join us in a shared message of saving the river. And this was usually very, very, very much encouraged by Muslim, Christian, and Jewish leaders that were openly meeting and discussing and talking about the damage to religious sites. And it's the same also in Qasr El Yahud, in the churches there that have been for many years surrounded with landmines. And this was something that was very painful for all the region. And it's improving. They took away the mines. So we really recommend working with religious leaders as long as you focus on the environmental issues that are a shared cause again. And then you get a lot of cooperation. And Abed, you're welcome to add if I forgot something.
Sorry, thank you, Yuval. It's really important to understand the background about religious. Religious is very important in our region, and everyone, he abides by his own discourse. So the Muslims, they would blame the others, and the Jews will blame the others, and the Christians will do the same. So, but it was to our surprise that when we looked into how every religion looked at the Jordan River, that we find a great deal of similarities. And just knowing that we share the same values towards the same river, it was mind-blowing. So we understood that the Jews care about the river as we do Muslims and as the Christians do, and so on. So it was really important to bring those people together and share this knowledge and disseminate it to so many larger wide audience. And that was really important to make sure that this is shared. The second point that I would like to mention that, which is very, very important in the religious world, that how we send the message and why we send the message. Although it's religious and although it's coming from God, and we should respect that and so on and so forth, but still we have to make sure that we are doing that because there is a benefit for us. And this is something that is really important. So we're saving the environment for ourselves, and it's because it's God's obligation or request and so on, but still there is something in it for us. And this is something that we stress during the training of so many different leaders, that to make sure that they stress why it's important for in the short term and medium term and long term, it's important for people to behave with God's recommendations. I will stop here.
Just another very short remark. It's important to work with different kind of stakeholders because you gain access to different populations. Like we as an environmental organization, we wouldn't get the same access that religious leaders have to their own audience. They're people that we can engage with through engaging with the religious leaders. So it's really important to widen our network of stakeholders. There is another question from Maria, interested to know more how you've developed relationships with local authorities. Relationships with local authorities are really important. I leave the word to someone else. Let me know who wants to talk. It's important for us because they represent the element that really connects the bottom grassroots element of our work with the top down. So our engagement with national decision makers. So Abed, you're going? Great.
Yes. I think what is really important to emphasize the democracy of solution. So in our world, in the Arab world especially, in the past, the solution came as parachuting top down most of the time, and people disengage from that process. Today, what EcoPeace tried to do is to reactivate the bottom-up approach where the local people will engage directly through direct connection or via civil society to the decision maker to make sure that the decision makers understand what are the requirements for nature and for society. So this is something that is really important. So speaking to the decision makers is quite important to tell people, to tell decision makers that at the society level, we're not happy because of the degradation of the environmental quality. We need to do the following improvements, 1, 2, 3, 4. And working with the decision makers, it's tricky because there is so many different agendas behind working with decision makers. So it's an art by itself. As a civil society, EcoPeace, we learned that we need to make sure that while we save the environment, while we create an advocacy or create a momentum, we make sure that we also help the civil servant or the stakeholders to achieve his own targets. That's why what we try to do is making our targets his targets and trying to help him to achieve his targets. So we're trying to help the decision makers in a way or another. So having a relaxed society because we have good sanitation. So it's a complicated process, but towards the end, the decision makers will be happy if we have a happy society and we have good infrastructure. And I can tell you for sure that the first meeting that we have between Jordanian, Palestinian, and Israeli mayors in the north of Jordan, there was a blame game. It was very clear that the mayor of Jordan accused the Israelis and vice versa for the deterioration of Jordan River. The second and third meetings, we moved towards a different direction where the mayor was happy to announce that he did 1, 2, 3 to save the environment. So he started a bragging process that he's saving the environment and building a wastewater treatment plant here and there and so on. So which we notice a change. That's why working with stakeholders is very, very helpful because they are the people on the ground and they can influence the life of society much effectively and in a quicker format. So that's why I encourage that any process should be directly linked with the different civil servant or stakeholders to make sure that it's a transparent process and a democratic process.
Also, maybe we can add here that we are working in the field that we are sharing our resources. So we like it or not, it's shared resources. So if you have something strong, you have something well prepared to approach your local authorities, and you have something that they feel that you are solving part of the problems, So it will be they will accept it. Maybe it's not from the first time, but after negotiation and presenting the right way of your approach, it will be easy to find them around you and to support you.
I would also add, if I may, Julia, that when you work with the mayors and with the local municipalities, what interests them is ad hoc solutions. They want a solution now of a problem they have. When you talk to ministries and to the government, they can have long times and political thinking and so on, while in the local region, in the border, people are suffering. So the mayor knows that he needs to find a solution quickly. And if he can get no resolution, trying to go through the formal ways, approaching the committee, inter-side committee, and then telling them the problem, and then moving to the other side, and the other side understands the problem, and it goes down to the issue, can take years. So one of the things EcoPeace started doing very, very early, and we do it a lot, is we make a shortcut because we have an office in each side. And in this way, we can, we can come over to the mayor can come to us and say, I have a problem. And this happens a lot. And then we can contact the Jordanian or Palestinian side and say, look, there's a problem. Can you look around there? And then suddenly when the Palestinian office goes to that, they realize that the problem is also a problem for the other side. And both sides really want to solve the solution. They're not making peace. They're solving a specific issue. And suddenly everybody wants to cooperate, and a lot of informal elements get solved. And we have an example now that's happening where the two sides in Jordan and Israel have actually created a WhatsApp group, shortcutting all the formal processes. They have a WhatsApp group between them, and they're looking for a solution together. And when the solution will be solved, they'll probably cancel that WhatsApp group, or they may keep it and work later for other issues in the future. And this is beautiful. It just shows that when you you solve a problem for local municipalities, they really, really appreciate it. And they help you later when you want to come in with education or want to work with the local community.
Thanks. I mean, it's really, I mean, there are two things that really stand out, I think, of what I hear. And one thing is that you have, I mean, I really love the theory of change that you presented, Julia, in the beginning, where you work bottom up and top down at the same time, because this is something that we strive to do at Untitled, but at the UN, we sort of divided. We have some people working on the formal track 1 process, and we have others who work with civil society, but we haven't really found a way maybe to bring the two together and to have such a coherent model for how to bring about the change of narratives on a larger as well as on a sort of popular level. So that's something I think is really interesting. We should definitely look into this more and learn from you. The other is how you have managed to appeal to self-interest. I mean, how you have managed to engage. I mean, another example was the students that they do their thesis on something that is actually solving a problem, a real problem. And I think this is great because you support them and they support you. And this is, again, I mean, the environment, the reason we started to work on the environment here as well and look into it as a possible, topic for us to focus more on for peace building, it's exactly what you said. It's that, it's, the environment has no borders. It is, of course, a win-win for both sides. And it is it's an unthreatening topic for most people. But also, as you said in the beginning, of course, when there is a conflict situation, everything is politicized. So even cooperating can be controversial. But we then have the technical committee, for example, that is a formal mechanism that is supposed to deal with this. And we're also supporting a relaunch of a civil society environmental network here that aims to bring together civil society actors, and maybe using your thinking and model there for how to connect these would be very useful for us. I saw that Katya Solomidou also posted something here in the chat. Katya, do you want to say something?
Okay, hi.
Hi.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I was really, really impressed by the virtual communication, the platform that was created, and I wish we could do that for our youngsters. We are working with a Cyprus Friendship Program bringing together youngsters from both sides of the divide. And we're doing this yearly. It's an American program, CFP, Creating Friendships for Peace. And yes, I mean, now with the pandemic, they can't meet anymore and the borders are closed. So it would be fantastic. We are meeting at the H4C for virtual programs, but if we could have a platform where they could, you know, do things virtually, it would be fantastic. It would bring in more people. And it's really, yeah, I wish we could do that. Thank you.
You can host them.
So yes.
We could, but it's not, they will not be connected to the site itself. But what we can do, Katya, is of course share with you our experience and the experience we gained. And if you want to replicate our work, it will probably be easier, faster, and cheaper than what we did, because we learned a lot. And what I suggest is that Julia or through Olivia, share my email with you, and let's do it offline, because we're of course very happy to spread the idea to other places.
Thank you very much, because now CFP has also expanded to Israel, and so we are a bit closer in terms of geography. So thank you very much. I would really appreciate that. I see a lot of possibility, I think. Yeah.
And Yuval, it's good to mention that we are in the process of creating our second virtual world soon.
Yeah, this is really new, but we actually got a grant for building a site that will represent the water realities of each country. It's a more serious site. It's less idealistic. And its concept really is to run simulation game and create perspective taking of each site. It's very new. It's very informal yet, because we don't know yet how we will do it. But the idea is really to take the perspective that people will actually, students in this case, will take the perspective of the other and experience their water realities in Palestine, Jordan, and Israel, in a site that will enable them to then later on meet and actually discuss about solutions. And this is really touching the conflict in a way of looking for a solution and understanding. So that will take probably more than a year to prepare, but we're very excited about it, because it's more than just meeting and getting together and getting to know each other. It's actually evoking the issues and discussing them.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Great.
Olivia, I read a few questions asking if we're going to share the recording.
Yeah, we could do that. I haven't recorded it, but I think it says recording here up top left. So I think you have recorded it.
So we will send it to you.
That would be great. Great.
So whoever asked, you will receive the recording from Olivia, because we don't have your emails, simply for that.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't see any more questions.
Nobody else? What about, we have some UN colleagues here working with intercommunal engagement. Anybody? Jorga, Mustafa, Maria? Any reflections?
Hi.
Hi, Maria.
This is Maria. Just wanted to thank you for the presentation. It was very, very interesting, and I think it's really relevant to our work. And as you mentioned, Olivia, we work quite a lot also with like the local communities and the top level, like with the leaders at UNFICYP and with civil society. So the way that that you as an organization managed to bring everything together is like it's a very good it's a very good lesson from us as well, and it will be very interesting to continue the exchanges and to learn more about each other's like about what we're doing. And I think we also have quite a lot to learn from you. So really thank you for the very interesting presentation and for all of your thoughtful responses.
Thank you so much. And for whoever wants to contact us, you're very welcome to visit our website, Facebook, Twitter account. Our website is ecopeaceme.org. And also all our emails are our name followed by @ecopeaceme.org. So if you want to write to Yuval, to Abed, to Rana, myself is Giulia with a GI, the Italian spelling. So feel free to contact us, and we will be very happy to talk and share our experience and learn also from you, discuss ideas together.
Just a small note, I am Yuval B with a B at EcoPeace. Okay, so don't miss the B. There was a previous Yuval in the past.
Great. No more questions?
No, it seems it's fine. And if there are more questions, we'll be happy to answer them on through emails.
Great. So
Thank you, Olivia, for hosting us.
Thank you so much for this very, very rich presentations. We look forward to staying in touch. And we'll be in touch soon. And to all of you who want this recording, some of you may not have written to register, but if you look at the Facebook event, there is an email address there. So if you write to that email address, I will also include you when I send out the presentation, if you want it.
We might also share it on Facebook. So
great,
if
perfect.
you're okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
From there. Okay, that's great. So thank you everyone for coming and for being interested in our work. And we'll stay in touch.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.